The Connection Show, inspiring hope, health, and healing in 2021, sponsored by Braveheart Workshops Live with Jill Reynolds. And joining me is my co-host from Texas, Cassandra Dr. K. Brown, the Tilted Fedora trainer, joining in for moments of hope, health, and healing on a Tuesday. Welcome, Cassandra.
Hey, Jill, how are you doing today?
I am amazing, my love, and I always get so excited on Tuesdays because I know I get to see you, and that makes me excited.
Ask me how I'm doing. Ask me how I'm doing.
Oh, how are you doing? How are you doing?
I am excellent as always, even better now that I'm speaking with you.
And you always look so pretty with all that jewelry, and you just look amazing, my love. I tend to be the same type of thing. I switch different shirts, and I have my cross, and I'm so. It's funny when my husband proposed to me, he bought me the most beautiful engagement wedding ring. I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I never wear it because I cannot stand any jewelry on me. It just drives me crazy. So here I got this gorgeous ring, and the only thing I ever put on is my cross. So I really love the fact that you can wear jewelry. It just, for some reason, it irritates my skin. I've tried silver, I've tried gold, and my body just does not like jewelry. I don't know why. Anyway, we have a topic that Dr. Cassandra said, Dr. K, said that she thought would be a phenomenal topic today, for moments of hope, health, and healing. And the topic she suggested was that of flexibility. So I'm going to let Dr. K lead us off on that because she's the one that brought it up, and I'm going to listen to her and then take off and intercede. Go for it, Dr. K.
All righty. Thank you, Jill. I'm going through some coaching programs, and one of the coaching programs that I've been listening to talked about the fact that life throws us curves. And the instructor was saying to us as coaches, you'll have to be prepared. You'll have to be flexible. You'll have to be ready to change at a moment's notice. You might have a client who has a death in their family. For whatever reasons, they can't make their appointment with you. He said, life just happens. And not only in their life, but in your own life as a coach. You may have a death in your family where they have an important event going on, but you've had this catastrophic event that's happened and you need to work with each other. And he said the key to all of that is flexibility, being flexible, being able to roll with the punches. Literally, that's an old phrase, but being able to move when movement is necessary. And not being so set in your ways, so anchored to whatever that you can't give. And if you can't give, you certainly can't take. There's no exchange. Flexibility is a requirement for living. And I thought about that when I heard that. I said, that's a great topic for our moments of hope, health, and healing, because flexibility, being flexible, is needed in all aspects of our living. We need to be flexible physically. That is why stretching is so important. And they tell you to stretch before you run and before you exercise to get those muscles pliable and movable. How many of us have hit that point in life where we sit down, and if we've sat down for too long, it's hard to get back up? That's our bodies becoming inflexible, and we have pain. That happens in the emotional and the spiritual realm as well. When we become inflexible, when we become unmovable, we refuse to allow God even to shape us and to mold us and to meld us and to do all the different things that he desires to get his best out of us. We end up in unnecessary pain. So the word today is flexible. Be willing to give. When the unexpected happens, don't complain, don't grouse, don't murmur, don't get upset. Be flexible. Go with the flow.
And I looked up the definition while you were speaking. And again, the quality of bending easily without breaking, And then it says the ability to be easily modified, the willingness, I like that, the willingness to change or compromise. And then it says, what's flexibility an example? Flexibility is defined as the ability to change, to bend, or to persuade. An example of flexibility is being able to work whenever one wants. I love that, a flexible schedule. What are three types of flexibility? There are considered to be three main types of stretching methods of muscle flexibility. There are static stretching, dynamic stretching, and I don't think I can say this word. It's proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, whatever that is.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what makes someone naturally flexible? It says there are a number of different factors that contribute to why some people are more flexible than others. Genetics, gender, exercise history, and other reasons contribute to a person's flexibility. But I think one other one that we should talk about is flexibility of the mind. The mind. And how flexible are we with our healing of our mind for wellness? Like, are you flexible? Can you compromise and can you change? Are you willing to change things, maybe, say, from your past? You've maybe lived in a traumatic childhood. And so do you have the flexibility? Do you have the willingness to do whatever it takes to go deep and get well? I think that's one area that a lot of people don't look at. How willing are you to change? What's your willingness level? And are you flexible in doing so?
Here's why this is so important. I've often heard it said the one constant in life is change.
Yes.
The one thing that is going to happen, you're guaranteed, is change. So being flexible, especially in terms of the flexibility of your mind and of your thought processes, being able to change the way you're thinking, becoming cognizant of your thoughts, and then recognizing what some people call stinking thinking. Being flexible enough to change that thought pattern, recognizing that it causes pain, and being willing to change it, being willing to look for other information so that you can think new thoughts. That's flexible. That's being flexible. And the key to your health in your flexibility. Some people want to keep a rigid diet, eat the same thing over and over again, and it could be causing significant damage to their bodies.
Well, and that's a good one because I've always heard this is that when you crave the same foods over and over, it's usually because you have a food allergy to it, and that's why you're craving it. And or if you don't rotate foods, if you do not rotate foods, your body actually picks up an allergic reaction to it because it doesn't know how to assimilate the differences of different things. So I think even that, changing that out. I want to bring something up because it's funny that you bring up the flexibility of stretching. And, in my past, before I became a Christian, I was a dancer. Not a good dancer, one of those ones in the strip clubs. And and I used to dance, and I'm saying this because we're talking about flexibility and stretching. Believe it or not, I used to dance barefoot on a hardwood floor stage, and I never ever stretched. And when we in a given night of 8 hours of work, I would have to dance about, I want to say almost about every hour to hour and a half for 3 songs. So 3 songs, you're looking at each song being 3 minutes, 9 minutes straight of pounding, dancing on a floor with no shoes and no stretching. I can't even imagine what that did to my body. And,
Yep.
so I like the fact that you're talking about the flexibility of our body and what we do to it. Because, I mean, we all think when we're younger that nothing will ever happen to us. Like we think, oh, I can do this, I can do that. And then all of a sudden you get to be in your 40s, 50s, 60s and above. And you're wondering like why your joints are caving or your feet are hurting. What did you do when you were younger?
Mm, I know that feeling. I know that feeling well.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons for the topic.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Being flexible will save you a great deal of pain. It will provide hope as you're able to move. We've talked about flexibility in your mind, flexibility in your body, flexibility in your diet. There's not an area of your life where you will not have to be flexible at some time or another, even when it comes to driving. In Dallas, where I live in Duncanville, which is right next to Dallas. There's a great deal of construction going on. Great deal of construction. So you may go to work one way one day, and then 1 or 2 days later, that way has been blocked off, and now you have to take a detour. You've got to be flexible to take the detour, or else you drive over wet cement, or you go through a barricade into a part of the road that has been torn up. You might even fall into a ditch. Flexibility can be a lifesaver.
Well, I'm from Chicago originally, Dr. K. And so the saying in Chicago is there's only 2 seasons, winter and construction season. It's either winter or construction, one or the other. But let's go into one other area that I think is important, and that's relationships. Let's talk about relationships. And I know I can only. They say that you can only talk about what you already know because you see it in yourself. I can't see something in you, Dr. K, that isn't already in existence in me, because God gives us each other as mirrors. We're mirrors of each other. So whatever I want to share tonight, I just want the audience to know it's because I know it. I can claim it because it's been in my life. So let's talk about flexibility in relationships, and I'll start off with flexibility. And again, you don't have to be married, but if you're in a relationship like I am with a husband, how flexible are you when there's conflict? Like if there's conflict, are you one to fight or flee, or do you sit with it and do you try to work things out? How flexible are you in life with conflict? That's a good one.
That is a very good one. That brought to mind a Bible verse, and I'm great with the verses themselves. Addresses I'm still working on. But there is a scene in the life of Christ. It's recorded in, I believe, two of the 4 Gospels, either 2 or 3. But the Pharisees asked Jesus a question, trying to trip him up. And the question is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any reason? And Jesus says, Moses allowed divorce because of the hardness, the inflexibility of your hearts. And I remember my mom telling me, based on that, she said, there's only one reason for divorce in any marriage. And I said, what is it? She said, hardness of the heart, an unwillingness to bend, an unwillingness to be flexible, an unwillingness to meet someone halfway, an unwillingness to be soft and pliable, malleable. So what you're saying in terms of flexibility in relationships is very, very significant. Being flexible in your marriage relationship can actually save your marriage. And if your marriage is on the brink, it can restore it. Yep. It can restore it by showing that that compassion, that grace, that mercy, that forgiveness, all of those flexible terms are terms of flexibility. I was thinking spiritual flexibility. Are you willing to move when God says move? When God says, I know you want me to do it one way, but I'm going to do it the other way. Do you allow God to be God and allow him to make you flexible in the marriage so that you don't camp out in your own corners, each one being an unmovable block.
Mm-hmm.
So that flexibility.
And I think that takes it too, like the flexibility of relationships with friendships, or the flexibility of relationships with your boss. Like if you do work at a company, and how flexible are you when things change at work, and how flexible is your boss when there's things that happen in your life? Do they sit and they ask you questions, or do they immediately go to you're fired, and they don't sit down with you and say, well, is there something going on that led you to be late the last 3 days to work? And so again, that flexibility, I kind of think that flexibility is intertwined with compassion and love.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an intertwined word of, being sitting back and being much more mindful and loving, and having a dialogue. Like, how flexible are we to have a dialogue today? Like, how flexible? Not much. I don't think many people sit in dialogue anymore.
That's becoming a lost art as people spend more time on electronic devices, texting one another. Mm-hmm. I have a couple of friends who say don't text, call. People want to hear voice sometimes.
Oh, and I'm one of them. I'm one of them. The only thing I believe that texting is good for is to say, I'm ready, or I'm running a few minutes late, or can we change the schedule? Can we change it like real quick? But if someone were to say to me, hi, how are you? Tell me what's going on.
Those I call.
I'm like, if you really want to know, then either A, text me and say, I'd love to get together with you. What's your availability? And then let's get together, or let's schedule a time to talk on the phone or on a Zoom. But don't text me and ask me how I am. But the worst ones, I think, Dr. K, is when someone's upset with you for any reason. Nothing triggers me worse than if someone's upset with me and they text me or send me an email and tell me how upset they are.
Wow.
That really, and so with the flexibility, come on. If you want to be flexible and have a relationship with me, and there's something that I ever did to injure you or hurt you or make you upset, like, be flexible and let's have a conversation where you can tell me what's going on, and then you're flexible enough that you'll allow me to respond to it. But a text or an email says, I'm going to tell you what you did, and you don't have a right to come back and say how you feel about it. I'm just going to blast you.
Wow. Yep, I can see how that can cause some problems.
Oh, yeah.
And that presents that inflexibility that makes it impossible to restore the relationship and to reconcile.
Yeah.
And let's face it, as Christians, God has called us to reconciliation. We are reconciled with him. Romans chapter 5, that one I remember. And then he says we are to reconcile with one another. Mm-hmm. That goes back to that grace, that compassion, that mercy. Be kind, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God in Christ Jesus has forgiven you. Come on, God is flexible. God is probably the most flexible being ever to exist. Because when Adam and Eve sinned, he did not destroy them immediately. He made the promise that the Christ child would come and that he would do battle with the enemy and win. Mm-hmm. So God is even flexible. Yep. And he has given us the gift of flexibility so that we can have hope, so that we can have good health, and so that we can heal.
Yeah. Yep.
It's now 8:20, so we've hit our target.
Yep, we're done. So, moments of hope, health, and healing. Tonight's topic, flexibility. So ponder on that, and take some time to journal a little bit. this week until we meet again next Tuesday with our next topic. Journal a little bit on what areas of your life do you feel you need to exhibit more flexibility and grace and love towards others. And before we end tonight, Dr. K, let's just mention about the Hope, Health, and Healing Conference that we're going to be doing in Branson, Missouri on, and I always have to bend over, August 20th to 22nd, live conference in Branson. So to register, go right away to the website, which is braveheartworkshops.com. And I'm going to just challenge you to be flexible with your schedule. Take everything off of your schedule that weekend. Be flexible and travel. Come to Branson. Enjoy some fresh air. Do you know what that is? Fresh air. The beauty of the Ozark Mountains, and just come and enjoy yourself and have some moments of hope, health, and healing in 2021. And Dr. K is one of our speakers, so you got to come and meet Dr. K.
I am excited.
So thanks so much, Dr. K, for jumping on. I know that you're on your way out of town to another conference, and so we want to be mindful of your time, and we look forward to seeing you, Dr. K and I, next Tuesday for some more moments of hope, health, and healing. Have a wonderful day, and we look forward to seeing your name on the registration page between now and next week. So sign up today for braveheartworkshops.com's conference in Branson. Thanks, and have a safe trip, Dr. K.
All righty. Thank you, Jill.
Bless you,
Great
dear.
to be with you tonight.
Bye-bye now.